Welcome everyone, I am Tock Custom with Ultimate Cosplay, and Evil Ted is here for another video where we made these daggers in our last video. And what are we going to be doing on this video here?
Today we're going to be sealing them and prepping them for paint.
Yes.
And I always recommend when you're making foam props, you always want to put a sealant on it before painting, which covers the texture of the foam and also gives the illusion that the prop is what it's supposed to be when you're making it. And today we're going to show some different techniques on sealing.
Cool, yeah, so we've got a couple of different primers and a couple of different ways we're going to paint these. So we will show you what we're going to use right now.
That's right. Let's get started. There it is. This is, of course, my blade. For my sealing my blade, I'm going to be using, this is Creature Cast rubber, and this is semi-rigid. Semi-rigid is a little bit denser and thicker. It dries stiffer. So that's what I'm going to be using.
Very nice. Mine. And I'm going to be using a much simpler product, which is just Mod Podge. You can get this pretty much anywhere. It goes on very smooth. We're both going to brush these on. We're not going to, critter gun or HVLP or anything. So we're just going to use brushes and we'll see what happens.
Creature Cast rubber, we're going to brush on. And what makes it so great about brushing is that it's really water thin and it allows it to soak into the foam and the hairdryer.
Yeah, and as I'm doing mine, I'm just going to be using the hairdryer to keep this dry so I can flip it on the other side and it's not going to stick to the paper.
And just an interesting little story, I have the exact same hairdryer.
Is that right?
And it's pink as well. Right, here we go. Now, starting to brush. Look at that. It goes on.
Oh, it goes on really dark.
Yeah, well, it's black and it's thin. You can get different. I like black, especially if you're doing something metallic.
Cool.
Or a metal weapon or something like that. But this first initial coat is really going to soak in. This is what separates all foam props from everything else. Once you seal it, it's key. People always ask me, do you seal all your foam props? The answer is yes. Yeah.
So both of these primers are flexible, so they're great for foam. Mine's going to go on kind of like a milky white, but it's going to dry perfectly clear. And then this will help paint adhere to it, as will his.
Oh, and the other thing too, with Creature Cast rubber, it's non-toxic. So all you people out there, it's non-toxic and it's not rubber. So people who have latex allergies, this does not affect you. You are safe to use it.
Cool, I'm glad you knew that.
It's a great helpful tip about Creature Cast rubber. It's liquid neoprene and not rubber.
In mine, I've got all these fine details that we did in the handle, and I want to really kind of brush this into that, but not let it kind of build up too much because I don't want to lose those details.
Drink it up. Drink it up.
That already looks pretty cool like that.
Yeah, and and I love the
not
black.
Even paint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like the black base on it. So.
Oh, right. I believe you can sand both of these products if you put on enough layers.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to do that because I want mine to look really smooth like metal when we end up getting to painting. So we'll see if that works. So mine had a couple of drip spots, so I'm just kind of drying off my brush a little bit and just trying to smooth it around so it doesn't get too drippy. And it's going on pretty smooth right now.
Gonna watch the drip. I got the first coat. I want to hit this with a hairdryer.
Okay. Can you tell it's dry when it's not shiny, or does it go on like matte or like?
Yeah, it dries matte.
Okay.
You can see it. I can see it drying. Well, it's a little glossy, so when it gets a matte finish, that's when I know it's dry. Now, I was going to put a second coat on just for durability, but I'm looking at it going, you know something? I think it's going to do all right because it's soaked into the foam. It's got a nice skin. There's no foam poking through. So I'm going to go ahead and call this done and let this dry. When it completely dries, our next step will be to start painting.
All right, now I've got my first coat on, so I'm going to use the hairdryer to dry mine. All right, now I'm just gonna do one more even lighter coat on this just to make sure that I've got good coverage. And then we're gonna do our base coats of paint.
Okay, while he's doing his finishing coat, I'm gonna put down my black base. And I think this is PLAID FX, but it's not really black. This is called Gauntlet. It's a black, like a dark metallic. Even though this Creature Cast is black, I want the paint. I always find paint sticks really well to paint, so I'm gonna go ahead and just still put a black base to it.
All right, so I've got 2 coats of Mod Podge gloss on this, and you can tell it's a little shiny, which is nice. This also works as a nice top coat. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to my base coat of black, and I'm gonna pull out the airbrush for that.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm gonna be using my Iwata Eclipse, which this thing is awesome. I highly recommend it, and some CREATEX black opaque just for our base coat.
I have some folk art brushed metal. I'm gonna start doing that with this guy right here.
Is it going to bother you if I'm airbrushing right next to you? Okay.
Not at all. So,
I love airbrushing so much.
oh yeah, me too.
It's my favorite thing to do in the workshop.
Yeah, I always airbrush all my stuff too. I love
Actually, shout out to Core Geek Creations for teaching me how to properly airbrush. I learned everything I know from him.
Now this is one of many coats I'm going to put on because I'm telling you right now, it needs to be a little bit brighter than this, but this is a start. I got this color I'm going on. I'm just going to do light and catch some of this. Very lightly, just not putting too much pressure on it, so just grabbing all the highlights.
Is that the metallic?
Yeah, I'm going to do different passes.
One thing that's nice about airbrushing is the paint dries almost instantly, so you can go on to doing other coats or different colors almost right away. All right, so that's my first coat, and actually, yeah, you can see the details on both of ours pretty well.
Yeah, you see it, right?
Yours looks so cool. I love that.
It's getting there, but it's like I want to make this pop more. So he doesn't have any rub and buff, but he does have these plaid
Don't
armor.
say that I don't have rub and buff on this video. Just say we're going to use this.
You hack. Where is it?
Yes, I'm out of rub and buff, Ted. Sorry.
Apparently. But it seems very, it looks very metallic-y was what I want. Perfect. All right, good. All right, we're going to take the plaid effects here.
Yeah, that is pretty thick.
But it might be to my benefit. So get a brush and go back over this again and make it a little bit brighter. Because my plan is to get a little bit brighter so I can go back in and do a little more aging on it. So, oh, I see it. It looks a little brighter. Yeah, that's already looks better.
So I'm going to do my blade as a really bright silver, and then I'm hoping to do the handle as like a gold. And then all these little details, I think I'm going to try to hit with a gold after that's dry. So we'll see how that works, and who knows what'll happen. I'm using the CREATEX Quicksilver Chrome. This stuff is awesome, so hopefully this goes on nice and quick, and we can move on to the gold.
Clean my brush.
Ooh.
Look at that.
All right, here is like half of my first coat. That looks pretty good.
It looks
considering
nice.
we're doing a quick job here.
We have some brown. I'm going to paint this handle. Now I'm going to do the other side with the browns because I got it to where I like holding it, so I want to let it dry so I can hold it and do the other side. So that's what we're going to do right now.
And for my handle, I'm going to use rub and buff antique gold or maybe a little bit of gold leaf. This stuff is super fun to use, so you just need a crappy old chip brush like this. Hopefully you can see this, but I'm just gonna do kind of a decent little glob right there, and this will go a long way. So all I'm gonna do is take my chip brush and just kind of dab it like that and kind of blend it around a little bit, and then I'm gonna wipe it off. So this is almost dry, and this is a wax-based paint. So hopefully this shows up. I'm just gonna really lightly kind of back and forth do this, and it's gonna add some really cool gold streaks into the handle, and then I'll kind of smooth it around, and it's gonna add a really shiny gold sheen. Now you don't want to put this on too thick at first because it's gonna get really clumpy, so just build up lots and lots of small layers and you're gonna find a really cool finish. All right, so now I'm starting to build up a nice gold shine there, and I'm just gonna keep going until I can't see much of the black anymore.
Yeah, and real quickly on my handle, I'm using the PLAID FX, and this is the, grounded is this particular brown. My plan is to let this dry, and then once it's completely dry, I'm gonna take it outside and hit it with this RUSTOLEUM matte clear enamel. The reason I'm gonna do that because I wanna be able to make up an acrylic wash and wash over and wipe it off. But I found that if you don't put a separate, like a clear on it, and you do a wash, the wash will stick to the acrylic paint. Like this is brown, but I like the brown, but I want the grime and stuff to go in the cracks. And if you don't do that, the acrylic will just go and grab all this and you won't have to be able to do it. So I like to put a clear coat to protect the paint and then do a wash. Therefore, I'm gonna be able to wash off the excess.
So I have plenty of gold pigment on here, which is nice. And what's cool about rub and buff is now I can just take my brush and start to buff it, and it's gonna smooth out all over the place like this. All right, so I'm done with my antique gold, and I wanted this to be a little bit brighter. So I'm gonna use the gold leaf, which is a much brighter gold, and I'm gonna do a little bit of highlights on some of the edges. Okay, so this is a little bit brighter now. I'm happy with this. Again, this rub and buff stuff is wax-based, so it never fully dries. So if you don't put a top coat on this, it will rub off onto everything. Make sure you wear gloves, because as you can see, my fingers are quite dirty. So yeah, I'm gonna do what Ted just did and do a top coat on this. So Ted just took some wire and coiled it up like this and shaped it, so I can just kind of stick it in the bottom of the prop here.
Yeah, push it in deep so it sticks.
Yep, and that's just gonna go right into the foam.
Right now allows
And then we can hang this outside so we can spray it and we won't have to touch it.
And we do some matte clear?
Yep.
All right.
There we go. All right, so both of our daggers are sealed, and this is nice and sealed, so the rub and buff isn't wiping off, which is really nice. So my next task is really simple. I'm just gonna use rub and buff and just go really carefully, and I'm going to detail the tops of all these details that we've got here. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to weather this or do any kind of a wash, and then I'm just going to seal that one more time, and this will be done with a high gloss sealing.
I'm going to, my guy has done his well. It needs a little bit more of a wash. I want a little more depth to it. So I'm going to do a little bit of a watered down. I got some blacks here and brown. I'm going to mix these guys together and water them down a lot and then wash it with a brush. And then my plan is that now they sealed it, I'm going to do the wash and then come back in with a paper towel, wipe off the highlights and try to control as much. And then that wash will tell me how much far I need to go. It's like, hopefully that will give me enough wear and tear to my satisfaction. So I'm going to take both these guys and mix them together and then water them down really heavy. You got this.
I'm really nervous.
You know, always paint over it. You know, like
This stuff just goes everywhere if you make a mistake.
got my watery brush and I'll water this down. Well, I'll tell you one thing about this stuff. All right, I'm looking at it. It's really dark. So I'm going to move it a little bit over here. Add some more water to this side and make it even thinner. Oh, that's really, because this is PLAID FX. This is not standard acrylic paint. This is actually PLAID FX paint. It's got a more stronger pigment on the black for some reason. So I'm going to keep thinning this down a little bit. What I should do is just take the brush and load it a little bit on the brush, not go too heavy on the brush. Let's do a light coat. Let's try that. So that, and now into this. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's what I'm talking about. See, now it's going in there in the cracks and crevices.
Oh, nice.
Then what's cool is that I sealed it with that clear coat. So there, I know that when I go back and wipe this off, it won't damage the paint that I have underneath. You know, I like it. I don't want, no, I'm thinking about it. Just let it just settle in. It might dry a lot better without wiping it off at all. Let it just seep and fall into the cracks. Yeah, see, it looks good. I'll take a little hair dryer to this real quick here. See what this looks like when it dries. Although I'm looking at it, I want to get rid of the some of this black in the center where the metal is. So I'm going to take a paper towel to this edge right here. You can see the metal. Yeah, see, that already looks better. So I'll do that on that part and do the same thing over here. Yeah, see now this handle looks more a little darker.
Oh, that looks awesome.
It's more weather. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to break this up a little bit more. This looks nice, but it seems clean. So and a technique I like to do is the black is pretty concentrated. So I'm going to get you have some rubber gloves I could use? Thank you, sir.
There you go.
I'm going to take a stiff bristle brush and dip it in the black and spatter some black on it. And if you do a black wash, it's kind of hard to, afraid it's going to knock it down too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little splattering, to do little black splots. And that always works really well to break it up.
Oh, like what people do with a toothbrush?
Yep, exactly. And toothbrush is always great too. If I had one, I would use it, but then I need my toothbrush. So they're going to take some bristles like this, load it up. And the trick is, before you start hitting your actual prop, you just pick a spot on the table. And you see that splashing?
Yeah, it's showing up.
That shows up, so you can go over here and do the same thing on the blade. Yeah, baby. Look at that, a little spattery. Now, the cool thing is, you can go back in. Oh, thanks, big drip there. Thank God for paper towels. Got it, all right. So again, I did that. So what I'm gonna do is let that dry, the hair dryer. And then we're gonna do the other side.
Oh, it's actually showing up. Check that out.
Oh yeah, you can, look, yeah.
Can't really okay, that's better than I thought it was gonna look, if I'm being honest.
The spattering technique works great if you do multiple colors. Like I did a spray of black, but I'm gonna do a spray of brown. One more color spattered on there. I find with props, it's always good to use like browns and blacks and whites and grays and just spatter, spatter, spatter. But I'm not gonna go too nuts, but let's go ahead and do a little bit of brown. It's the same thing. We're gonna just do a little dab and water it down so I can splatter it.
All right, so here's my first pass, and it's actually a lot more noticeable than I was expecting, which that looks pretty cool. And the original side just looked a lot more flat like that. So I'm pretty happy with this, and I don't think I'm gonna do much more than that. That's nice and subtle, but it's noticeable and I like it. This thing is shiny as shit,
Yeah,
too.
super shiny. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing again. I'm gonna spatter it again with the browns. Make sure I'm loaded up. So I get a little bit more brown on that. All right, let's bring this guy's a little closer to camera. You guys can see it. So it's got a little bit. You can see kind of the spattering technique on it. I think the one missing thing I want to do on this is I'm going to take some strips of leather or fabric, what Tock has in the shop here.
Yeah, I got some leather.
Yeah, I want to just do some wraps. I'm going to do like a wrap around the handle, maybe, because it's kind of like a makeshift weapon out of a piece of metal that he's shaped up. So on the
You're gonna cover all that wood?
Well, some of it.
The wood up? Okay.
Yeah. All right, got some scrap leather here. I'm going to cut some strips. Weapon. All right, so now we have this guy cut like I want. You have some super glue, correct?
Yeah, I know you're gonna make fun of my super glue because I got these tiny little things.
Oh, that's right. Chris doesn't. Sorry, Tock does not have super glue.
I mean, I do. It's just it's not very impressive super
He
glue.
refers to this as having super glue. Can we just let's just for the record?
It's like a
Do you have
quarter
super
ounce.
glue? Yeah, I have some like kit craft. I have a.
All right, that's enough, Ted.
All right.
We've all made fun of Tock enough today.
Oh, I don't. I think I just started, folks. So anyway, we're gonna do a little. Oh wait, let me squeeze a little bottle. Oh wait, is it done? There you go. Okay. I'm gonna actually glue these guys together to just make one strip. I think this will probably do it. Yeah, I get these guys are great for you ever travel kit or you go to cons.
Yeah, so stop making fun because those things save the day at
Yeah, but when you're actually at your shop at home and like an adult, you can actually get a bigger bottle.
Wow,
Okay.
wow. All right.
Here we go. All right,
I see what's up.
getting ugly now. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to pick a spot to glue. I'm just going to start to wrap. But I'm just going to do the center here, and I'm going to dab a little super glue. Now again, the super glue is just going to hold it to the foam, but I'm not going to convince myself that's going to be permanent enough. I'm definitely going to wrap all the way around it and glue the leather to the leather itself. So this will hold it long enough for me to wrap like this, and then come around and then glue this now back to the top of the leather. So leather and super glue will stick really well together. And I'll put a little tension, make it a little tight. And as I go, I'm gonna dab a little bit more super glue here. Try to prevent the strap from moving around so much. And if you notice, I'm doing the rough side of leather up. There's the smooth side, which most people would do that. But I like to put up the rough stuff first because it just looks better and ages better.
Oh, cool. You got the flesh side showing.
Yeah.
So that'll take paint a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to, but you can definitely take sandpaper to that and really scuff it up if you want.
Yep, sure can.
So I am done with my detail work on the blade. Now I'm just going to kind of go around and make sure I didn't miss any spots with the gold. And then I think I'm going to be done with this and ready to seal it.
Yep, see, there it is. Got the handle on there. So like just that gun, I'm just gonna do just the center like that. So I like that. So now we got that. I get my brush. Yeah, it's soaked. Oh, that just soaked it up. So give me a paper towel quickly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Actually, when it dries, it'll probably lighten up a little bit.
It'll lighten up in, and I can go back in with sandpaper and bring up the highlights. Ooh, look at that.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, and also too, see, it got much lighter once it dried.
Sorry for, holding my puny little dagger up to your
please.
cleaver there, but I'm happy so far.
That's excellent. Yeah, let me.
Yeah, when you did your first coat of paint on the handle, it looked really flat, and then after you did your wash, it added a ton of different dimension to it.
Right, but yeah, I'm looking at the good.
You pretty happy?
I'm happy. I would almost dub this weapon done. Ow! Chop.
You want to seal these bad boys and
let's seal these
let
guys
them
up.
dry and see how they look?
Sure.
Cool.
All right, the more I look at this, I'm actually really happy with the matte finish on this, and the handle, everything was already sealed earlier. So all I did was just glue this down and weather it, so it's fine. So everything's already sealed up. So I'm gonna actually call this guy Done. I like
Okay.
this weapon.
All right, so I'm going to use this urethane high gloss aerosol instead of the airbrush, because I want this to be even shinier than it already is, and that'll also seal and protect this rub and buff that's up top here. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll wrap this up.
Fantastic.
All right, you guys, so we are all done with our daggers. This is what we came up with, and I got to give all credit to Ted, because he designed the pattern for mine, but I think these are pretty cool.
I wanted to make two different universes. I want to make mine more barbaric and his a little bit more fantasy.
Yeah.
But these came out awesome.
Yeah.
And you had everything in your shop that I needed to finish this.
Well, I did. Hopefully they got their own stuff. But yeah, big love to Ted. Hopefully this helped you guys make some cool stuff. If you have any questions, please reach out to Ted or myself. But hopefully you guys are having fun making props and getting ready for your next event.
And also, guys, if you don't know who I am, I'm also Evil Ted on eviltedsmith.com.
Right.
Jump over to my website and go to my YouTube channel as well, the Evil Ted channel.
Huge tutorials, incredible. He's the guy that got me started doing this. So big love, thanks for being here.
Oh, man,
and
dude, thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah, travel safe, man. Thanks.
You too, guys. And guys, don't waste. When you make a weapon, please tag us and post us on all social media. I'd love to see your weapons.
For sure. All right, see you later, guys.